All right, hello everybody. Thank you for joining me today. Welcome again to Thoughts from the Field. As you can see from the splash video and the scenery behind me, I am not in my studio today. As promised, I am broadcasting to you live from World of Concrete in Las Vegas, Nevada. So you can kind of see some of the skyline in the background there. It's been interesting to attend what is Las Vegas's first big mega event since the shutdown at the beginning of the pandemic. World of Concrete is kind of one of the first groups back, and I don't know. Somebody in the elevator today described or made the comment that yeah, you concrete people, you construction people, you're just really bold and really strong and brave to be back here, but the staff, of course, in Las Vegas, which thrives on the hospitality market, is really excited that we're here. So it's been a little strange. So I wanted to talk to you for a minute about what it's like to be back at a convention, a trade show, after, of course, being locked down like everybody else for about 15 months. I'm fully vaccinated and have been for a month or two now. So, kind of feel like I've got that protection, but it does feel weird to be back at a trade show. And let me just make a distinction between being in Las Vegas and being at a trade show. Okay. Las Vegas is packed. So there are no signs here of social distancing, very, very little mask wearing. And I have to say, it feels a little bit weird. So I've been talking for the last several months about what it's going to be like to return to the in-person office environment. And, kind of made some comments about facility managers might have to make some changes. We have to be prepared for people to, expect some distancing and things like that. I am not seeing any of that here in Las Vegas. There's just these little sad circles on the ground that say keep 6 feet apart, with about 15 people in between those 6-foot circles. So no real signs of that here, and I'm not sure that I'm quite okay with that yet, but we'll see. Now, on the other hand, at the convention here at World of Concrete, I think they've done a great job. It's a greatly scaled back event. Now, keep in mind that this event typically gets 80,000 attendees. It takes up the entire convention center. This is a very scaled down version of that, more like 20,000 attendees. They've got things spread apart really well, doing temperature checks on everybody that comes and goes. So I have felt very comfortable at World of Concrete. I think they've done a great job. The staff there has done a great job putting this whole event together. So I'm gonna show you some things from World of Concrete in just a minute. First, let's take a look at some news. I also want to throw up the comments here, see if we've got any comments yet, and just remind you that as I'm live streaming here, you can add comments. If you have questions, really encourage you to go ahead and ask those in the comments section right here in the live stream, and I'll try and take questions and address questions as we go. So please feel free to do that. Let's go ahead and share my screen here and take a look at some news. I've been talking about this for the last week or so as well. The demise of Ktera, this great big. For those of you that aren't familiar, the reason that I'm talking about this is Ktera was, I feel like, probably one of the biggest construction startups, certainly the most well-funded construction startup, probably ever. So they had $3 billion in venture capital financing, started this giant construction company. At one point, I think they claimed 8,000 employees. Later on in their life, after they had been around for a couple years, they purchased some existing construction companies, and their goal was really to originally their goal was to modularize construction. I personally, in Arizona, where one of their factories was, never really saw them get a foothold in that market. Tried a lot of different things, obviously didn't work. Reported last week that they were shutting down. That was the news in many outlets. Now what we're seeing here on this page, Engineering News Record, which, by the way, ENR.com, if you're looking for construction news, any news related to engineering, architecture, construction, ENR.com, that's kind of my go-to source. That's a great place for news. But ENR, really good article here if you're interested on Ktera, and what they're saying now as they're responding to some of these news articles is that they're filing bankruptcy and talking about what that might look like, possibly spinning off or selling some of those subsidiaries, those construction companies that they purchased. So good information there. I also wanted to kind of give a shout out here to my friend Rebecca. Rebecca runs the Arizona Builders Exchange. In Arizona, that's a kind of a projects up for bid and upcoming projects type newsletter, but she also does a good job at writing some of these articles. And since Ktera had such a big local presence in Arizona, Rebecca's looking for people to comment on what their shutdown means to them. And I think so. Two things: if you have any information on the Ktera shutdown, or you want to share how it's maybe affecting you, I threw the link to this post up that Rebecca has here. She'd love to hear from you. Just kind of give your comments on what the Ktera shutdown looks like to you. And I also think that's a good reminder that this affects a lot of people. There were a lot of employees there. So hopefully we'll see how this pans out. I think a lot of the construction industry around the world is busy. So as unfortunately, some of these people that have lost their jobs over this will be able to find new ones quickly. All right, we're going to move on. Yeah, and I see I got a comment here. Your screen is frozen and now it's working again. I'm broadcasting, live from the world of concrete. I'm using the Wi-Fi that I've got. Might be a few hiccups along the way here, but hopefully we'll be in good shape. So let's go to World of Concrete. And actually, I'm going to take this off the screen. I want to show you what it looked like when I got to World of Concrete, and share with you some things that I got to see and do that are there at the convention center. Not necessarily World of Concrete specific, but really cool stuff. Let's throw this video up here. So I arrived and I parked over at the south parking lot, which is a long way from where the exhibits are, but right next to this new boring company convention center loop station. And what I saw when I got there, I thought this was really cool because this is the actual boring head. And I told you last week I was going to talk about this. This is the actual boring head for the tunnel boring machine that was used to dig this 1.7 mile loop tunnel underneath the convention center. And if you're not familiar with that whole project and what that looked like, just to give you an idea. The Las Vegas Convention Center Authority, when they started building a new wing of the convention center, realized that it was about a 45-minute walk. If you were going to go from the very far south side all the way around through the central and north halls and onto the new west hall, it's about a 45-minute walk. And so they put out a request for proposals for a transportation system. And most of those proposals were for traditional things like a monorail system above ground, or a traditional subway type, light rail underground system. Surface transportation was kind of out. There's not a whole lot of room for that. Plus, it interferes with some of the exhibits and the pedestrians. And you know, for a 1.7 mile transportation system like that, they're looking at a tremendous amount of money. And I'm going to say maybe it's $500 million, $500 million. The boring company came in and said, hey, for $47 million, we'll put a tunnel underneath the convention center. We won't disrupt any of the existing convention center activities or operations. We'll do it quickly. And there was a lot of skepticism, I think, around this. But they did it. I think this is the boring company's real first commercial underground loop transportation system. And I was excited to see it in operation. Again, this is the tunnel boring head that we're looking at here. And I think as we go around, I give you kind of a view of what the station looks like. And what this looks like right now is this tunnel's about 45 feet underground, and you're whisked from one end of the convention center to the next. Again, you know, that's probably a 30, 40, maybe 45-minute walk normally. But instead, you get inside of a Tesla, which is one of the features of this tunnel system, is it's all electric, uses all electric vehicles. And that meant they didn't have to install a bunch of ventilation shafts along the way, which disrupts whatever's above it. There are no ventilation shafts. There's 2 above ground stations at the beginning and end, and 1 below ground station in the middle. And kind of show you what that looks like here. So, you know, you get in a Tesla. They right now there is a driver. I think the plan is to go driverless, but you jump in a Tesla, and it whisks you through this tunnel that's 45 feet underground. And you know, you can see there's other vehicles in there. It seemed pretty efficient. I haven't seen any lines for this, and there's about 20,000 people here. You know, so this is pulling into the underground station, kind of in the middle of the system, and you can stop and get out, or you can continue on, which is what I did here, kind of continue on through the tunnel. And you know, like I say, the whole trip takes about 3 minutes. Let's see, I think if I fast forward here, you'll see coming out, we're kind of going up the incline, up the ramp, and you'll see as we're leaving, there's another Tesla driving in. So again, it is a loop system. And we go up the ramp, and as soon as we exit, you know, I start to see the World of Concrete signs and the exhibits. And this is just the above ground station, where if you want to go back the other direction, you jump in one of those Teslas, and away you go. So yeah, I think it's really cool. I'm impressed with the cost of the system, the speed of the system, and the fact that they were able to, you know, literally tunnel under the convention center without disrupting any business operations or any operations at all at the center. I think the boring company's done a really good job kind of thinking outside the box. And you know, this was Elon Musk's idea that was born out of him just being tired of LA traffic, and he dug a tunnel, you know, developed this system, dug a tunnel under some property that he owned in Los Angeles as kind of a test that he completely financed. But this is the first commercial boring company system, boring company loop, and it works. I think it works great. It's not super flashy. I don't think it's supposed to be. It's just supposed to get you from one place to the next, do it cheaply and do it efficiently, and I think it does a great job of that. So that's my report on the boring company tunnel, the loop tunnel underneath the Las Vegas Convention Center. The rumor is that this loop is supposed to be connected and then continue on to circle the strip and go all the way to the Las Vegas airport. So we'll see if that happens. I think that would be an interesting project. All right. So got a comment here from Chris Randall, and again, thank you for your comments and your questions. If you have any, go ahead and enter them in the live stream comments section, and I'll try and address them. So, Chris says, "Hi Jim, I enjoy your classes." Chris, by the way, is also a fellow LinkedIn Learning instructor, and a fellow LinkedIn Learning instructor in the construction space. So, Chris has some great estimating courses on LinkedIn Learning. So. Question is, could you tell me how you think these face-to-face conventions still have a place in our industry? Do you think the interaction is still valuable? Chris, I had mixed feelings about that as I came here, because my initial thought is, wow, I don't really know if this is that important anymore. People spend a lot of, as you know, people spend a lot of money going to these shows, whether you're an exhibitor, or just an attendee. It just costs a lot of money to go to these shows. So is it worth it? I'll say, after being here a couple of days, day one, I could have said I'd take it or leave it. Day two, I did get to see, I don't know, you saw as we were coming out of the tunnel, the exhibit there was from the Bosch company, and Bosch happens to be one of my big clients. I'll talk about some things that I'm doing with them later. And I got to go in and actually meet face to face with a lot of people who have traveled from a lot of different locations, who I've only ever seen on video calls the last, of course, 15, 16 months. And I did get to pick up and touch and play with tools and some different things. And so, yeah, Chris, I do think it's valuable. Whether we're going to see it on the scale that we've seen it in the past, or whether we'll see some of these scale back events like we're seeing here, I'm not sure. But I've enjoyed being here, probably more than I thought I would. Let's take some other questions here. So sticking with the tunnel for a second, what are the tunnel walls made of? See if I uploaded. I guess I didn't upload that video. So the boring machine just bores this hole, and it's a much smaller diameter than a large scale tunnel system. It's made to fit one vehicle, one direction. So if you need more than that, you bore more tunnels. But again, it's fast, it's efficient, it's inexpensive compared to a traditional system. The tunnel walls are 4 precast concrete segments that they put in place. And then, of course, there is no track like a traditional subway system or light rail system, because it's these electric Tesla cars driving through it. Those Tesla cars are supposed to be replaced eventually by sort of a 15-passenger van that sits on the Tesla chassis, we'll say. And again, that's all in the works and for the future. Right now, the cars seem to work great. But in answer to your question, Wendy, they're precast concrete tunnels, 4 segments that they swing up into place. All right, so let's take a look at a few things that are going on at World of Concrete, because I told you that's what I would be doing this week, is kind of showing you what's happening here. Let's start with my crew, my broadcast crew, who's out there right now. Crew being my wonderful wife. So shout out to her. She's the one that got me a lot of these videos this morning of things that are going on right now. So I wanted to throw a few of these things up.
All right, Dave, how long do they have for this?
3 hours.
I'm gonna turn that volume off. This is something that's happening right now, that I think is really cool, and maybe goes back to your question, Chris, on are these conventions, these trade shows, still important? So this is the apprenticeship competition that's happening there. So first, second, and third year masonry apprentices from all over the country have traveled here to kind of compete, show off what they know, show off some of their skills, and that's starting right now, this morning. And I think it's great for them to be able to have that experience. It's great for them to be able to see the bigger side of the industry, but it's also great for them to be able to meet apprentices, people who have chosen their trade from around the country, and just show off some of their skills.
I'm Chris
Here's one more.
I helped to design this project with our team from the Arizona Masonry Council. The idea was to try and use a quite utilitarian style of block, a fence block, a humble C block, corner block, to be able to provide some screen and a little bit of porosity. So hopefully it's helping the team here be able to stay a little bit cooler in the warm weather of it.
All right, a little quiet on the audio there, but this is I wanted to put this in there because it shows you some of the different participants in this event. So that's an architect whose name I can't remember, and I apologize, but he is from Smith Group, that designed some of the competition and some of the masonry exhibits that are obviously outdoors here at the convention center. And he stayed and kind of oversaw everything while the apprentices built this whole masonry display to show you, some of the things that you can do with block and with masonry prior to the competition even starting. So there really are a lot of different people here, not just concrete contractors, but general contractors, engineers, architects. So it's been fun. Of course, one of the things I always like to look at when I come to these events are different types of technology. And see if I can find the right screen here for you. I thought this was interesting. I haven't seen this here, but this is a lift system for precast concrete members. So, if you're in this industry, one of your challenges is picking up these big, heavy double T concrete precast sections. Usually have to use chains and dunnage or lifting points and that type of thing. This is actually a vacuum system that suctions to the double T and picks up, I think it says 77,000 pounds to move these things around the plant facility. So, I thought that was pretty cool. More of a plant application than a field application. But here, I'm gonna stop talking, and I've got an interview here with somebody else that's talking about robotics in construction, which I think is kind of an interesting topic these days. So let's throw this one up here and listen.
Robotics. What we have today is we have a 32-inch block made by Best Block. It weighs approximately 75 pounds. And with our lift assist unit, it'll actually make it weightless, because what it does, it come over to the block, we hit the grip button, and what ends up happening is now it gives that zero lift. There's really no weight, makes it weightless, so it's literally just floating here, and then you use your technique, your skills, bring it over to the wall, add a little bit of resistance to it, set your block, good.
So, I think that I think this is really cool. We've been hearing about, robotics in construction, and are robots going to take over construction? Seems like for a few years now, and my answer's always been I don't really see robots building our buildings anytime soon. I think our skilled tradespeople are, their jobs are still secure. Robots aren't taking over anytime soon. But I think that this is a great example of how we can leverage some of this technology and robotics out in the field with skilled tradespeople to take some of the backbreaking work off of them. So, there's masons out there that love being masons. They love laying block and brick. They really don't love bending over and picking these things up. And the fact that, there's probably only so many years that you can do that for. And this example of this, robotics technology that can be deployed out in the field, you saw it there. It was actually lifting 2 8/8/16 blocks at a time, not just one. And it still takes the skilled mason, the skilled tradesperson, to understand, how to install them, where they go, how to keep the alignment proper, how to keep everything flush. It just takes the backbreaking work off of them. So I thought that was a really cool example. One of the more interesting things I've seen here at the trade show so far. Let's see, we have one comment here. Fascinated seeing videos of 3D printing. So there are some 3D printers. I walked through the trade show a couple of days ago, and they were still kind of getting set up. I wasn't able to talk to anybody or see anything in action, but yeah, I am kind of interested to see what they are 3D printing in terms of construction, in terms of concrete. So I'm going to try and show you some of that later. The trade show still is going on today and tomorrow. And I'll either have some videos for you in next Wednesday's live show, or, you know, if you can see this here, but in the LinkedIn app, there's this thing called stories across the top of the app that I've never used the feature before, but it's a way to record like short 30-second video clips that show up. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, you might see some of those stories. I'm going to try and use that feature for the next couple of days as I go through and see some of these things like 3D printers or some other technology. I'm going to try to pop those up in using LinkedIn stories and see how that goes, kind of share those videos with you. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at a few more things at World of Concrete. I said earlier, Bosch is one of my clients. I've kind of enjoyed working with them for the last year on a few of their technology products, not necessarily tool products, but technology products that I want to show you in just a minute. But before I do, let's throw up a couple of things that they took a lot of time and kind of showed me around some of the things that they're working on and some of the things that they have now. Again, just sticking with this theme of technology and construction. These are laser range finders that have been around for a while. Bosch has upgraded several of them now with a green laser, and sometimes that's just easier to see. I feel like it has a little more range. But I'm always kind of fascinated by these. They're pretty inexpensive tools that take the place of a tape measure when you're measuring long distance. I find those pretty cool. Up above that, if you can see there's a couple of handheld scanning type instruments, and they're not available yet, but they were showing these things to me as, you know, they use them as rebar locators or the ability to locate conduit wiring in walls, but you can also locate rebar in concrete that's up to 7 or 8 inches deep. And me being from kind of the post-tensioning industry and doing a lot of repairs and retrofit on pre-stressed post-tension concrete structures, I'm always interested to see some of the new scanning technology out there for finding post-tension cables in slabs before you drill in the slab and before you break them. There's always ways to do that, like X-ray or ground penetrating radar, but those are usually fairly big instruments. They take a little bit of training to figure out how to use, and so these handheld scanners, which is what you're seeing there now, are just very simple, kind of affordable way to find both rebar and post-tension tendons in concrete slabs. So kind of look for those coming out pretty soon. One of the other things they showed me, I'm going to turn the volume off there as well. This is really a hot topic in the construction industry and in the concrete industry in general, and that is dust control, and very specifically silica dust control. Silica is basically a sand. It's a very plentiful material. It's used in making concrete, mortar, block, drywall mud. And the problem is that when we cut, grind, or drill products that contain silica, so if we drill into concrete, which is what he's showing us here, the dust that is generated is not just dust, it's silica dust, and specifically respirable crystalline silica dust that gets in your lungs and can really cause a lot of long-term health issues, and shorten the lifespan of people that end up with what's called silicosis. And so in the US, OSHA finally came out with a silica standard for the construction industry that talks about how we have to limit people's exposure to silica. And there are similar standards really all over the world in lots of different jurisdictions. And what everybody's figuring out is that one way you can do that is put people in respirators. But if you've ever really worn an actual respirator out on a job site for all day long or even half a day, particularly in my area where in Las Vegas here where it's 110 degrees out, that's not really fun to do. So a better way to do that is through just getting rid of the hazard altogether. And what they're showing us here at the Bosch booth is one of their portable battery operated drills that has a vacuum built in. I'll play that clip again because you can see it's got a HEPA filter actually built into this drill. I think he said you can drill about 75 8-inch deep holes in concrete, with it capturing all of the concrete dust, all the debris coming out before that fills up, and you have to change the filter. Let's take that out here. Clyde, yeah, silica is becoming more of an issue. Glad that technology is helping to change and address this. And yeah, it really is. It's been an issue. We've known silica is harmful for a long time. There's been a silica standard in the US to limit exposure, but it's not been very effective. So the one that was published a couple of years ago, I think is much more effective. And what it's really done, it's actually a pretty good example of, the publication of that regulation really, I think, drove industry, and in particular manufacturers like this, to develop tools that eliminate the hazard for us. Instead of us having to wear PPE, they've got these tools that eliminate the hazard for us. And I think there's a few more here. Well, maybe that's the only one, but they're in that booth. They've got industrial vacuums with HEPA filters that are made specifically to filter out silica, attachments for things like grinders, cutoff saws, jackhammers. Anything that we do that generates silica dust. The tool industry has pretty much figured out attachments to get rid of that dust in the air and eliminate that hazard so that we don't have to wear PPE to control the hazard. Great stuff. Go to my comments here, see if I'm missing any. Just backing up, there was one here. How long did it take to finish the Boring Company tunnel? Some of you that are kind of fascinated by the tunnel like I am. I don't have the exact figure because I haven't looked at when did they start planning it and when did they actually open the tunnel. I mean, to me, that's how long it took. I'm told that it took about a year, but I don't feel like I have enough detailed information to tell you what was included in that year. Is that just construction time? Was that also design time? I'm not really sure, but about a year. All right, so kind of moving on. The last thing I wanted to show you today here in the broadcast is kind of some of the things that I'm working on for Bosch Tools. Following in, I mean, what I do the most of is create these online courses, online training materials, and Bosch has come out with a new lean scheduling tool called Refine My Site. And I think it's really kind of a fascinating product for a couple reasons. One, I'm if you've watched any of my courses, I'm a big fan of lean and lean construction. I think that it really has the potential to transform our industry and really change the way we interact with each other and change the way we schedule things out in the field. If you wanted to, if you're not familiar with lean or lean in construction, that's one of the courses that I've got over in the LinkedIn Learning Library called Construction Management: Introduction to Lean Construction. That 75 minutes will give you kind of what you need to know to take off with lean in construction. Let's see if I can go back. I want to throw one of the screens up on site here. That's probably a good view. One of the things that lean in construction does, I think, and there's a lot of different viewpoints on how we should be utilizing lean in construction. To me, one of the most interesting things is how we use it to schedule daily activities. So, some of the lean practitioners will tell you that we need to get rid of the whole critical path method scheduling process and just use a lean scheduling process. I'm not saying I disagree. I think that's a radical approach that might take us some time to get there, because there are lots of things that we use that CPM schedule for. Whether we develop it in something like Microsoft Project or P6, kind of the two big construction industry scheduling programs. The critical path method, I think, still plays a very important role. It helps us really figure out what activities can go on concurrently on a project, and really helps us plan, kind of do the master planning for the construction project, and really plan out the big phasing type sequences of the project. And I think that that's a valid way of scheduling. I think it will continue to be a valid way of scheduling. I think where we have always fallen down in construction is then taking those big chunks of activities on construction projects and translating them into, okay, what's going to happen every day on the job? What's going to happen today, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, for the next 6 weeks? And we've had tools and processes for doing things like 6-week look ahead schedules. Some of them have worked, some of them haven't. That's kind of where lean comes in, and some of the lean scheduling principles come in, is this discussion of what we call pull planning. And in construction, one of the benefits of pull planning, and one of the benefits of utilizing some of these lean construction principles, is that it's very different from the way we schedule things in the past. So, the traditional way of scheduling construction is the superintendent has that CPM schedule up on the wall. They've got some milestones that they're supposed to hit. That schedule somehow has some durations on it that somebody came up with on their own, and they do things like, okay, well, it says I've got 3 weeks to put the footings in. I'm going to call the concrete contractor and tell them they've got 2, so we finish a little early because I know they're going to finish late. And we just have this big battle going on with scheduling. So in pull planning, which is a lean scheduling principle, we do things differently. We bring all the trades into one room. We ask for the person in the room to be the person that is going to be running the work in the field, not the manager in the office, but the person who's actually going to be running the work in the field, so that we can ask them, what do you need in place for you to start your work? And then once you start your work, how long is it going to take you? How many people can you commit to having on the job this week? And what will you accomplish this week? And we go through these pull planning activities. I think if I kind of scroll back through here in the video, you'll see, that's what a typical pull planning board in a construction trailer looks like. We use sticky notes. Everybody makes their commitments for we'll say the next 6 weeks, puts them up on the sticky the whiteboard in the construction office. The process works really well, and if you really get buy-in from all of the trades on a project, this can really make construction activities go much smoother on your job sites. One of the challenges has been these pull planning sessions are typically in person, and we like them to be in person because we want, again, the person that's running each trade activity out there in the field to be in the room and make these commitments to each other. But then one of the problems is once you walk away, you've got that board in the construction office, and all the information sort of lives there. So what Bosch's product is doing is basically digitizing what you see there on the board. So there you see those same day cards, those same sticky notes, but in a digital format that now everybody can pull up on their phone. The manager for that crew can pull them up back at their office and see what commitments have been made, so they can collaborate and work to meet those commitments. So anyway, I just think this is an interesting tool. It was nice to see these people that I've been collaborating with at Bosch for the last year, but only over video calls, because no one's been allowed to travel. So it's been nice to see everybody back here and get a little more hands-on with the product and meet some of the developers and the people that are working on this product. So that's kind of what I had to show you for Bosch Tools today. Let's see if we got another comment. Looking for more courses on lean construction on LinkedIn or any other platform. Again, I've got the one course on Introduction to Lean Construction in the platform. We also have, if you kind of go outside the construction library in LinkedIn Learning, there are some great just lean courses, very detailed courses on lean principles, pull planning. They're not specific to construction, but they do give you a really good background on lean and lean principles. So take a look, see if you can find those. Just search for lean in the LinkedIn Learning library, and you should get quite a few, half a dozen or more courses that come up. Again, not necessarily lean construction, but certainly on lean principles. And I think those are pretty good. I'd like to hear more about what types of courses you would like to see related to lean construction. So feel free to message me. If you have some specific lean construction topics that you'd like to see courses on, we always like to hear from the people that are watching the courses to figure out which course we're going to make next. So feel free to message me. My messaging's open in LinkedIn. Message me, and I love to hear what everybody's thinking. Let's see. I like the pull planning scheduling approach you mentioned in your PM course, using the sticky notes on the board. I've yet to try it out. Yeah, it's really an interesting process. The Lean Construction Institute is kind of the leader out there, I think, in translating lean principles, which really come from Toyota and the automobile manufacturing industry. The Lean Construction Institute has really been the leader in taking those principles and translating them over to construction. So that is the other place to go if you're looking for lean construction information, is the Lean Construction Institute, or LCI. Look for information on pull planning and their approach to lean construction scheduling. All right. I'm going to go through and see if I've got any other questions here today. Yeah, still some questions up there about silica abatement, different controls that we can put in place besides vacuum. So that was, I think, Wendy's comment was add water streams and wet cut masonry instead of dry cutting it, generating all that dust. All great stuff, and I will work for the next couple of days to find anything that's new and cool and innovative and interesting while I'm out here at World of Concrete. Really appreciate everybody joining me today. And again, if you have questions, comments, especially on courses you'd like to see in the future, please message me, add those here to the stream. Always love to hear what people want to see. Other than that, I will be, again, trying to use LinkedIn stories to bring you little snippets of what I see that's cool out here for the next couple of days at World of Concrete. And I will see you back again here next Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific, for my next live stream. So thank you all very much for joining me. Appreciate everybody's comments and inputs today. and I'll see you next week.